I mentioned that I've completely forgotten all the stories I was going to talk about, and everything that I've done in my career
Um,
just went away. So I'm just going to sit here and stare.
you know what? I'm gonna go
Fine,
ahead.
that's content.
I'm gonna go ahead and start the show because I think I remember where we left off. So you guys ready?
Yeah, we can get into it.
I'll go ahead and just say that we have who are our patrons that I shout out for.
Derek Diamond and Kathy Gutierrez Figueroa.
Okay. All right, here we go. We want to give a huge shout out to Miss Kathy Gutierrez Figueroa and Mr. Derek Diamond for supporting our lovely little podcast. And here we go. Ooh, that sound means it is Wednesday night, and it is time for the Open Micers podcast. My name is Jason Robbins.
While Jason's head may look like a bowl of eggs, I'm the one who's yoked. I'm Jacob Craig. And our guest tonight, returning. Finally, we booked it as soon as we got off the air last time because we had such a blast. All three of us enjoyed the stories that were getting thrown around. It's Mr. Christopher Burdett. You remember him. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome.
Guess who's back? Back again. Chris is back.
JD's back. Back again.
And I'm leaving.
Oh, well, that was a good episode. Catch us next week.
I think where we left off last time, the last thing I remember us talking about was you were working for Buffy, and you guys were across the way from the trauma people.
Yes.
And we still got to get into Buffy and oh gosh,
And
everything
Angel and
else.
Firefly.
Firefly, everything. We got to get to all that, man. We got an hour to do it. So start talking, buddy. Start talking.
So I worked on some shows. What do you want to know?
So you had a good relationship with the trauma guys, and
Yes.
you know, you were doing makeup effects and all that kind of stuff. So once Buffy ended, did you work on Angel at all? You worked on
Yes.
Angel.
I worked on the last season of Buffy, the last 2 seasons of Angel, and the only season of Firefly.
What
And
do you mean the only season of Firefly? It had 37 seasons of great awesomeness.
Yeah. Well, we did do some unsolicited pre-production for the movie because we weren't considered for the movie, and so we did a lot of our own private concept work and sent it over to the Joss and crew to be kind of like, remember us? We worked on the show, and after the movie, they shipped it, all the stuff that we shipped to them, they shipped it back.
So you didn't get to work on the movie at all?
I mean, technically, I did some concept work for it, but it wasn't hired by the production company.
So
I mean,
exactly, you might be in the know on this. Like, it's very rare that a TV show can have one season and not be successful at all. Not through any fault of the show. The show was great. It was very mismanaged and mishandled by the network. How did he go about landing a movie to finish out the story of Firefly? How did that happen?
As far as I know, he called in some favors, and that's yeah, it was kind of one of these things where there were people, I think it was Universal that released the movie. He had some people over at Universal that liked what he did and liked the show and decided to give him some millions of dollars to make a movie.
Must be nice. Wish I had some.
Yeah.
Wish I could call in some favors. Make a big movie. Be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, here's a bag of $20 million. Go make a movie. Okay. Actually, it was probably way more than that.
So once you got through with Angel, and that series had a pretty abrupt end as well.
Yeah. Well, there is a story for that.
Okay, please do tell.
Yeah. I forget the networks, but at some point he pulled Buffy from one network and moved it to another network. I at some point, as far as I remember,
Yeah, I
or
think it was
maybe
UPN at the time, and then
yeah,
did it go from UPN to CW, or did it go from CW to UPN? I don't remember.
something. It was one of those things. But Angel was still at the first network. And when it hit 150 episodes, any series that hits 150 episodes, if they're still doing the thing that they used to do, when a show hits 150 episodes, it is now able to go into syndication, and all of the executives and the people at the studio get a huge check. And everyone got the huge check, and then they announced the show was ending.
Wow.
As an fu to Joss Whedon for taking Buffy away.
Wow, that's shitty.
Yeah, I mean, I even have a 150th episode T-shirt because they made T-shirts and they had a big party, and there's this big photo with like everybody, all of the cast, all of the crew, were all in it, and it was done in the Wolfram Hart set. And it was really cool, and there was a cake and there was all this stuff, and then literally like the next day they got the word that the show was ending at the end of the season, so they basically had to scramble and end the series.
So that's why it ended the way it did.
Yes, bad blood and money.
So
that seems to be the theme of Joss Whedon's career. To be honest, bad blood and money.
Yeah. So that
now, like, but this is what I heard. You know, this is what I heard on the ground at the time from people in the know. So it could be wrong, but it's probably right.
It sounds about right.
Yeah.
The ending of Angel when it got canceled and that very last episode was the first and only time in my life I was upset enough to actually write a letter to the network.
You're such a nerd.
Nerd.
I didn't even email it. I wrote it by hand and mailed it. You guys suck.
Yeah, I mean, but that counts. It means something in the enemy alien building studios offices on the Paramount lot where they shot Angel. There was a big bulletin board that had handwritten letters from people all over it. So, I mean,
one of those was probably mine.
Yeah, I mean, they see it, they knew about it, you know, and like, you know, you'd have like drawings from kids up there too, and then there would be like the ones where they were like would circle like weird stuff from fans. So
So where did your career take you after the ending of Angel and Firefly, basically?
That was one tumultuous year because we lost Buffy, and they're like, okay, well, that's a hit. Because at one point, one glorious moment, we had Buffy, Angel, and Firefly all going, and everyone was like, this is amazing. We're on top of the world. This is going to be us forever. We are Titans. And then they died one by one. But it was kind of one of those things where there's usually a big rap party, a big season or show rap party. And the one for Buffy was okay. It was, there was this artist that kind of hung around the shop, and he did these giant, like 12-foot by 4-foot portraits of all of the main cast, and they were all up at the Buffy rap party, and there were celebrities and red carpets and all this stuff, and we got shooed in as quickly across the red carpet as possible. It's like, oh, you guys are crew, just get in the building.
I may have asked you this on the last one. Did you ever get to take any souvenirs from those sets? I could tell by that look.
Have you ever allegedly?
Yeah, have you ever allegedly?
Well, the trouble is that it was all every day. It's my job, so I didn't think about it as being like one day in 20 years. I'm gonna wish I had something, because I mean, like on the Angels office, the hotel, there was just the his business cards, his detective business cards were everywhere. And it's like, and I actually had them in my hands. I would like, they'd be on the floor. I'd pick one up and go, oh, that's neat, and put it back on the counter. It's like, it could have gone in my pocket, and I could have had, framed it later and had a little thing. And we made for Angel, when the Beast in season 4, the big rocky devil guy. We did a lot of concept work for that, and we did maquettes. We made a maquette, about a foot tall maquette, and we molded it and cast them, and I painted them and I painted so many of those things, and they got given to the director, the writers, the production people, Joss, like everyone involved. And then we were making more, and everyone in the shop got one, and I was painting them for everyone in the shop. There was one person that didn't get one. And to this day, I'm just so bummed by that thing, because they go for hundreds of dollars if they show up on eBay or anything. They go for like nearly $1,000 the last time I saw one pop up. And I'm like, yeah, I made that. Can I have one? And the molds are long gone and all. It's one of those things where it's like but I mean, there were little things. I have a makeup I painted and designed. Still, I have a mask I painted. Just little stuff that's in a closet, but it just, we weren't necessarily allowed to take anything. And
yeah, but what they don't know don't hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, I threw a lot of stuff away. One of my jobs was to tear it up and throw it away, smash the molds and put them in a dumpster. And
would have went right into the trunk of my car.
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
yeah.
if you knew where to look for a window of time, you could have found a lot of amazing things. But I mean, we had to literally smash. We had hammers, and we were smashing the inside of molds, and we were tearing things apart. And the studio took a lot too. We basically camouflaged one of our storage doors to our storage facility. We made it look like a wall, so that when the production came to get stuff, we had stuff obviously sitting out that they took and didn't think to look anywhere else.
So now they have I saw a YouTube video not too long ago of there's this huge warehouse out in California where they preserving stuff like that now, like all the molds and all the old costumes and stuff. Like you would have like, a complete costume from Batman 1989, and like it's in horrible shape, but they're like trying to restore it and things like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, this stuff also doesn't age. It doesn't age at all. If it's not destroyed on set, time will eat it up real fast.
Yeah, because a lot of that stuff's made out of what, latex and foam latex and things like that.
Foam latex and normal latex, and that stuff just doesn't survive. It has a lifespan. I mean, you can keep it going for a while, but if it was heavily used and heavily loved and used on set a lot, it's just not gonna hold up.
And I've been heavily loved a little bit in my day, you know what I'm saying? But no, so the last time we had you on, you were here to promote your appearance in Pensacola at Pensacon. There it is.
And my book.
And your book, of course. I actually picked up one of your coloring books, and my girlfriend was so taken by it that she ended up taking it. So I don't have your coloring book anymore, and she has it now. But I want to hear all about your experience there, how you liked Pensacola, how you liked the con, what all happened.
Well, Pensacon is one of our favorite shows. It's a 3-hour drive for us to get to Pensacola, so it's the least time. Takes the least time to get there, and it's an easy drive. We just drive down the 10. It's like door to door. It's 3 hours on the dot, and I've been there since 2016. I think 16 was my first one. I missed last year, but this year was amazing. I was expecting kind of a down year because I've liquidated all of my merchandise and stuff that's related to my gaming work. So all that stuff's gone. I don't have any, and I just have my book and the art for my book and stuff like that. And I was expecting, you know, this year to be like me introducing the book to people and showing people the book and telling them about it and like getting them excited so that next year they'll come back and go, oh, do you still have that thing? Nope. People just went nuts for it. It was amazing. I was kind of caught off guard. I did about 2.5 normal Pensacons worth of sales.
Wow.
This year. Yeah. Like the first day, Friday, I did the sales of a normal Pensacon in one day. So yeah, it got to the point where people were just walking up and they saw that I had a coloring book and they just gave me money and bought it. They didn't even look at it. They just saw that there was a coloring book and they're like, oh, I'll buy this, and just gave me money. And I'm like,
I feel like this year for Pensacon, you know, it was so busy. And even though we had one last year, it was in the middle of the pandemic. And it was kind of weird. Well, I can't say it was the middle of the pandemic. It's kind of, we were coming out of it, but it was right before that Delta surge. Yeah. And
the last Pensacon was actually in May.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It like was right before the Delta surge, so people were still kind of weary about getting out. So I even felt it myself, like it felt kind of dead last year. But this one was like ridiculous. There were lines of people waiting to get in that were like a mile long, and it was
out
crazy.
To the interstate. The will call line on Saturday, I looked at it and I was nervous because I thought it was the line to get into the convention because there were so many people. They were literally lined up to the shoulder on the interstate, blocking the exit.
Yeah,
it was insane.
I've never seen it like that before. This was crazy. And they because I did a panel on Saturday and we went, and when we came back, we had to get through that to get back in. And everyone was just like, what's going on? What is this line? Because we just weren't expecting it. I mean, we could tell there were a lot of people, but the fact that it looked like just as many people that were inside were also outside waiting to get in it was crazy.
Well, even at the panels, it felt like all the panels were full. And, you know, usually like some of the panels are, you know, some will, like the bigger name stars, they do panels will be full, but then you'll have like the smaller panels that'll be like half full, or, you know, depending on what the subject matter is. But man,
they're
it was
Nerd
like
Cave retros. As
every single panel I saw was full. Like, especially in the building, like the Nerd Cave Retro, like he was saying, my other show, we did a panel and it was full, even though it was in a smaller room this year, but it was still full. And all the other ones that were in there too. So I was like, man, I guess people are not able to get into the convention, so they're just going to panels.
Or just I think there was just more people this year. Yeah. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. There was just a crush of people that they weren't expecting. Because what did they said they announced if you bought a Saturday pass, you can come back for Sunday for free. Because it was just like the people weren't getting in. People like got in for like a half hour at the end of the day or something crazy.
Yeah.
Which honestly is on them a little bit, man. Because I showed up and I was late on Friday, but I showed up Friday, got my pass, went right in, hung out for 3 hours. Like,
yeah, there was a lot of people. I don't think people, you know, the average person wasn't expecting it either. I think some of these people were just doing what they normally do, and nope.
Yeah, but like if you don't even have your ticket by Saturday, then you're kind of expecting waiting in a long line. Like you really want to get there early morning Friday and pick up your pass and go about doing everything.
Yeah, because I didn't show up till Saturday morning and picked up my pass, and we got there, went inside. It was already shoulder to shoulder down on the convention floor, and made one pass. We made one pass around everything. I was like, I got to get out of here. This is about to be anxiety inducing.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like I had a great spot in the artist alley, but it was at the beginning of all of the booths, but there was so many people that were coming in to go down to the floor that the line wrapped in front of my booth. So it was just kind of like, can you all not block my booth?
Yeah, but I think you had, as far as booths go on that that ring around the arena. I think you had the sweet spot because you were right at the entrance.
Yeah, my first year I was in a similar spot, and yeah, it's really nice to kind of be that break when people come in. You're the first thing they see.
Right. Which, I mean, that might be kind of a blessing too, because I saw on the other side, because there were two entrances on the other side when it was backed up in front of Renee Witterstatter's booth, friend of the show who was on. I went and visited her. She was steadily making sales to the people that were in line, just waiting to get to the convention floor.
I tried that, but it's just always felt like I was dealing with a captive audience that may or may not have any interest in what I'm doing. So I kind of left them alone. I mean, if people showed interest, I engaged, but the average, they weren't there to see me at that moment. They were there to get down to the floor. So
yeah, but the beauty about what you do is you're at a convention. So 9 times out of 10, people that are there are into what you're doing. So you got to get that used car salesman mentality, and be like, hey, come over here, let me show you something, kid. Step right up.
People definitely came back. That's for sure. I do know that there were people who queued up in front of me that did come back later and got stuff. So it all worked out.
You just got to be like, hey, kid, you like monsters?
well, we kind of did that. Yeah. That's almost what we were saying to people.
Well, I'm glad you had a great Pensacon because, like we said, it was crazy busy, like to the point where I was even like, if it's going to be like this every year, I don't know if I want to go back until they get a bigger facility for everything, because it's so packed at this point.
Yeah, I don't know when or if there'll ever be a bigger venue for them.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest venue in the city is that place, and it's like packed in like sardines.
I mean, even if they started building now, it would be years before something else was completed. So,
yeah.
Right. Did you get to travel the city at all, or get to try any local food spots?
In the past years, we did a lot, but this year, I mean, since the Grand Hotel right next to the event venue is closed, and I guess the Holiday Inn that's downtown was also closed, we were all out at the beach. So we had to take transit in and out of town. And we were so exhausted at the end of the day. We literally got on the bus in the vans that took us back, and we had dinner and went to bed.
Yeah, that's about what I did too, to be honest. I mean, we went back to our Airbnb and ate Wingstop, and then we just decided not even to go on Sunday. Like we're already broke. We're tired. We're just gonna go home.
Yeah, we did the same thing Saturday night.
Well, Saturday was our let's have fun with people night, and we were wrecked on Sunday because I didn't get any sleep that night. Saying it's always rough. It's like have fun and hang out with people, or not be destroyed the next day. Like,
right. But what have you been working on since we last visited you at your table in February?
I'm just making more art for the next book 2. Just been working away. I'm been focusing on some smaller pieces just so I can get stuff done and feel like I'm accomplishing things. And when I'm done with the piece that I'm currently working on, that's literally right over there that I can't show you, I'll be starting up on some really big pieces again that they take a while to make, but it's I got to make them. They're in the book. So
yeah, you're such a tease. As a full-time artist, do you take like a certain block of time every single day to work on something, or are you?
No, I mean, I do have I'm an artist in a day job, so that takes up a chunk of my day is to do the job that pays the bills and gives me insurance and retirement and all that stuff. Right. But then I all the other stuff, the stuff I do for the gaming industry, my stuff, I do it all on nights and weekends, and so I never sleep.
I imagine there like because you do so much stuff for gaming as well, like doing illustration for like Star Wars tabletop games, things like that. Dungeons and Dragons, like where do you find the time to do all this stuff that you do?
Well, when I was a little bit younger, I had a little bit more energy, and I pushed myself constantly. I pushed myself for about 10 years and burned myself out multiple times during that time period. And that's when I kind of established my career and learned to work faster and learned to work smarter and did all the things that, got me to be able to do this stuff quicker and easier on a more fluid and laxed schedule. Because right now, when I'm focusing on my book, I'm my own art director, so I have to give myself deadlines. I need to give myself, you know I have to drive myself to make my work. So yeah, that's one of those things I talk about, that even though I've had this idea for this world since 1998, I had to work for 20 years in the industry to learn how to be a working artist, so that I could then turn around and do that for myself and make my own book and tell my own stories.
So is that sort of first, let me ask you this: did it get to the point where working on all this gaming stuff like that, did it become a job at a certain point, or was it still enjoyable?
Oh, it definitely became a job with some clients, and those clients I don't work with anymore.
And as far as being able to do your own thing now, is that pure joy, or does that kind of feel like work too?
It was, well, the whole thing is the last 2 years kind of really upended everything, and I've kind of had to, in some ways, restart everything because I did not make a lot of art in 2020. It just, with everything going on and the world falling apart, it just, the last thing I really felt like doing at the end of the day was sitting at my desk and working. So it's, so I've had to kind of figure out my routine and my schedule again. And it's just now, March of 2022. Oh no, April of 2022.
Yeah.
I'm just now getting into the groove again and being able to produce the work I want in the time frame I usually do. Yeah. And so it's been hard because I used to.
Do you have any advice for creators? And it doesn't even have to be like illustration. I mean, anything in the artistic realm of creativity, you can experience a good bit of burnout. And do you have any advice as far as burnout goes?
I would say it's best to not get there. And if that's to do that, you need to really be serious with yourself and know yourself enough to figure out what amount of personal time you need and the good work life balance. And that's taken a long time to learn, and I'm still learning. I still haven't figured it out. I do know that I have not been working enough to make myself happy lately, but that's because I've been not working to focus on other things in my life to get things back in order after dealing with the pandemic for 2 years. Yeah. I almost said 20 because it feels like
it
20.
Feels like it.
Might as well be.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I was able to, at the end of my first book, when I was finishing up the last of the art, some of my smaller pieces, I was getting them done in like an hour. From start to finish, I was finishing illustrations in about an hour, which is crazy fast, even for me. That's crazy. And now those similar pieces are taking me a couple days. So, it's going to take a bit to get back up too. That's why I was doing these smaller pieces for right now before I did some big pieces again, so I can just feel like I'm producing, because those big pieces usually will take a minimum of a month just to get done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I went up and got something that I think that you possibly worked on. I'm not entirely sure.
Uh-oh.
But was this you? Did you work on this?
I have stuff in that, yes.
Okay.
We're
gonna open it up and look
is that the very first one? The core set? Yes, there is. I have one card. My very first Star Wars card is in there.
And for our listeners, it's the Star Wars card game.
Yeah.
Got a nice rules of play. What do you remember? What card you worked on?
Oh yeah, totally. It's the Wookiee Navigator.
Wookiee Navigator. This
It's
is
a
actually in really good condition. I didn't.
it's
This has just been in my closet.
Oh, right on. Yeah, it's a black furred Wookiee at controls. I mean, it looks like they're at a gunner station, and that they kind of are. The card actually got reused in the X-wing miniatures game as the gunner card, and that's where everyone got to know that piece. It was pretty much ignored and forgotten about in the card game, but then it came out in X-wing, and it's apparently a really powerful card, and it comes with a lot of the different bigger ships that you can play in the game. So people know that, and people would walk by my booth and go, "Oh, the gunner card," and I'm like, "It's actually the Wookiee Navigator." But
What medium do you work in when you do your illustrations?
oh, it depends on the client. It depends on the job. I started my career working digitally. In this card in particular, that's a digital piece. For some of my clients I still work digitally because I'm faster and I can get a finished quality level that is what I expect of myself and what the client expects from me. But on the Star Wars game, a few years after I started working on it, I switched to traditional, and I worked in acrylics and painted the bulk of my cards in the game. My own work, I work traditionally for all of my own stuff. So my book, everything is traditionally made. It's pencil, ink, and paint on paper.
What kind of paint do you use? Like acrylics?
Acrylic, yeah, but yeah. I acrylic paint dries too slow for me, so I can't even think about oils. Because I mean, I'm a digital painter, and it's instantly dry, and you just unless I'm working with a pencil, that's the only medium that matches.
Because there's a lot of illustrators out there that I really love, but I don't know what medium they like to work in. Like my favorite illustrator is Drew Struzan, and I tried to watch like documentaries and stuff and pay attention to how he does his stuff, but I can't figure out if he's using like canvas or because he uses a mixture also of like acrylics and colored pencils and things of that nature. And if you don't know who Drew Struzan is, he did Indiana Jones posters, E.T., Star Wars trilogy,
He did
Goonies.
all of the posters,
Yeah.
And his work really stands out. If he's using pencil, he is working on some sort of board. He's probably working on like a cold press board of some sort or paper. But I imagine he's working on something with a little thickness to it. So it's probably some sort of art board or something. Pencil just really doesn't go on canvas well.
Yeah.
The way you want it to.
Found the Wookiee Navigator card, by the way.
Sweet.
If anyone's watching on video,
Yep, that's the one.
here's some Christopher Burdett artwork that I own. This definitely looks like something that
He's badass.
you
I would
drew.
not want to cross him in a dark alley.
Definitely not. He looks kind of like what's his face from Boba Fett.
Black Chrysanthemum.
Yeah,
I did that first.
that's true. That is, yeah. This came out much before the book of Boba Fett did.
Long before. I mean, that Wookiee was showing up in the comics for a few years now, but yeah, I did that card years before, many years before.
Awesome. I'm actually gonna set this out and hold on to this so it doesn't go back.
Have
in
him
my closet.
sign it
I'm gonna-
next
I'm
year.
gonna put that
PinceCon.
somewhere.
Bring it with you.
I might bring that for you to sign.
Signatures are free.
Fantastic.
I'll get you to sign my boobies too. No? Have you ever signed a pair of boobies? It kind of feels really good.
No, I haven't.
It's a good experience.
I have.
Yeah, Jason the Rockstar has definitely signed some boobies.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make everything all weird.
It's all right. So let's get back to your career. So you knew the Trauma guys. Is that how you got in with to do Toxic Avenger 4?
Yeah, I was literally across the alley when they were filming some pickup stuff in LA, and they needed bodies, so I walked over and got into the movie. And I mean, I knew all the guys, and I had already met Lloyd Kaufman, so it was kind of one of those things where it's like, it's like, oh, this is a person we've met and know. Yeah, go and jump in there too. Because I mean, in Toxic Avenger 4, there's a shot with Lemmy from Motorhead making comments about, I think it was the mayor, the mayor was played by that guy that was a porn star and is in prison now.
Ron Jeremy?
Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, Ron
Sorry,
Jeremy.
I didn't unmute fast enough. I definitely knew that answer.
Ron Jeremy was the mayor, and so they kept cutting away to Lemmy making comments about the mayor and stuff. And I think they shot the mayor stuff in New York somewhere, and we're in LA filming the back and forth. And so I'm literally standing right next to Lemmy in the whole shot. So I'm just standing there smiling because we're all supposed to be smiling and watching the mayor, and I would just like look over and like, because he would say something, I'd be like, oh, that's weird. And then like the guy next to me was at the time one of the guys that worked for Trauma in the LA office. So it was all family. And at some point there's chaos, and I think the Noxious Avenger shows up and starts destroying things, and everyone freaks out. So we had to then panic and run around, and Lloyd yells, "Someone fall down." So I threw myself down in front of the camera and just ate it on the concrete. Oof. And like skinned up both palms. But I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it made it into the movie, so it's all worthwhile.
That's awesome.
Right.
I bet Lemmy smelled like cigarettes and Jack Daniels.
I do know that they basically, to get him to do interviews, they sat him on a couch and gave him a bottle of Jack Daniels, and he then took care of it. He did the interviews, and I was dressed up as Toxie, and then another guy was dressed up as Sergeant Kabuki Man, and we interviewed him. So there's on some of the extras on some of the DVDs, I don't know which ones, because they're all over the place. There's me as Toxic Avenger and Sergeant Kabuki Man interviewing Lemmy about stuff. So yeah, it's just a really weird slice of my life that is documented in random media. But I mean, one of the things we were hired to make reusable Toxic Avenger masks for appearances and stuff. So we did a lot of that, and they were made on my head casts, so they fit me. And so that's one of the ways I got in to do the Toxic Avenger suit performing for them out on the West Coast. And the East Coast too. Actually, I did MegaCon in Orlando in 2002. Yeah, I was the Toxic Avenger there as well.
So if I've ever seen Toxie in real life, it's probably you.
It may have been. I mean, there's 20 years ago, because it was I was Toxie from 1999. Well, let's call it 2000 to 2002. There was two years that I was at E3. I was at San Diego Comic-Con. I was at MegaCon. I was all over the place. But I'm trying to think. Actually, I may have done San Diego Comic-Con 2004 or 5 as well. It's weird. It all blends together now. I would have to go look at photos.
You probably met a young 40-year-old Jason Robbins 20 years ago.
You shut your face, sir.
But the thing is, I got to meet so many people as Toxie. I have a whole photo album full of me with famous people. It's like I met Bill Nye the Science Guy, and a bunch of people from Star Trek and people from Star Wars, and a lot of people that are no longer alive. It's weird. I have like all these photos because I would just wander into places and take photos and wander out.
Have you thought about ever putting that somewhere for people to enjoy?
Maybe. I mean, I've shared some. I've shared some on social media. But yeah, I mean, it's a binder full of photos that I would need to scan, and probably should.
That would actually make a pretty good Instagram account, Toxie with various celebrities.
I would run out of photos almost, too soon. I would never beat the algorithms to gain any traction.
Do you still do any latex makeup effects or anything like that anymore? Or no?
Nope, haven't touched any of that stuff since 2005, the beginning of 2005.
Okay, so if I was the head of a movie studio and I came to you like a retired hired gun in an action movie and said, "Christopher, we need you for one last job," would you accept it?
I wouldn't know what to do anymore. I literally, and that's a skill set I haven't used in over 15 years. And I mean, I was never a sculptor. I have sculpted, but I was never professionally a sculptor. I painted, I designed, I cleaned up stuff, and I did parts of it all. I mean, because it was a team. I mean, there were some guys that could do it all from start to finish. But I mean, I hated mold making. Mold making was the bane of my existence because I never felt like I really got it. Even though it's a really straightforward process, if you mess it up, you've messed up big time. So it's just one of those things where I didn't like it because you could ruin it all literally within moments. You can it's like, yeah, and I'm not good with that.
I was never good at sculpting either. I got an art degree from college and I barely passed sculpting because I can't. I hate it. I can't do it at all.
Yeah, and I was surrounded like daily with like top tier master sculptors. So it was kind of one of those things. It's like, where do I even begin? Like, how do I can't compete. There's like, you guys, this guy already works in the shop. There's no point for me to pick up anything and learn.
And to be fair too, I mean, since 2005, with few exceptions like The Walking Dead or whatever, it seems like, special effects makeup has kind of been replaced by CGI for the most part.
It's actually rebounding. There is more and more practical stuff, though. To my eye, I can sometimes see where some of the skill was lost in the 10 years of only CG. Like a lot of shops didn't survive, and a lot of people were put out of work. But there are shops that are still working. There's the guys I used to work with that still have their own shops now, and they're doing commercials, they're doing internet-based stuff, they're doing music videos, they're doing props for. I get one of the guys I know did a bunch of masks for Slipknot, and they wear them for their concerts, and that's where makeup effects are being used. But I mean, there's a lot of folks that are in the industry that miss practical stuff, and they're realizing that what works best is the marriage of digital and traditional. It's if you can get the best of both worlds, putting them together, and stuff looks great.
Yeah, I think George Miller is one of those guys who he made Mad Max Fury Road just completely special effects, aside from what had to be absolutely done digitally.
The stuff that would kill you, they made it digital. But I mean, that movie looks so good. You're like, how did half the crew and cast not die during this movie?
Oh yeah.
But even when you see the raw footage, it still looks dangerous.
That's what I was going to say. You said all the stuff that would kill you, but there was a lot of stuff he did in that movie that probably would have killed a lot of stuntmen if one thing went wrong.
Oh, well, I mean, that's most stunts. I mean, I know all of the stunt guys that I worked with, they all had the near-death story, or the story that got them messed up. Like one guy that I worked with on Angel a lot, he worked in Speed 2. Is Speed 2 the one on the boat?
Yes.
Speed 2 cruise control.
Yeah, so I guess they drop someone off the boat at some point, and he's the guy. And they just dropped him off the side of the boat to the water, and it dislocated one arm, and I think he got some broken bones. Yeah, because I mean, he fell a stupid amount of distance and hit water, which at those distances and speed is like the ground. So so he always talked about, he's like, oh yeah, this my speed arm,
You know,
like...
here's the thing. If I'm going to die on a movie set, at least let it be something cool like The Crow, where you're immortalized forever, like for dying on an awesome movie, not Speed 2.
Hey, man, you don't disrespect Speed 2 Cruise Control on the Open Micers podcast like that, okay?
You're telling me Speed 2 is better than Speed 1?
No, I didn't say that. Now you're putting words in my mouth, Jason. Of course it's not better than Speed 1.
Guys, you're both pretty. It's okay.
Should have won an Oscar, that's all I'm saying.
Oh.
I actually have a couple of emails from a couple of Jackass guys that we should get on to talk about some stunt performances, because that's something we haven't talked about a lot.
Johnny Knoxville's crotch and how it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Neither does Jason's, just because he's old.
That's two old jokes, dude.
I just watched the new Jackass movie the other night, and
so good, isn't it?
Yeah, but I can definitely feel their pain now, because they're a few years older than I am, and there is no way in hell I could take the hits that those guys are still taking. There's no way.
Unless
I sleep wrong now, and I can't move.
Well, if you're prepared for it, I think. And also, there's a lot of stagecraft, and they probably have pads, and they've probably practiced for it and stuff. It's
I don't know. That bull hit Johnny Knoxville pretty freaking hard. There's movie.
But the way that they kind of do those movies now is they even brought in younger cast members to do some stuff.
You have to use up the young blood.
Yeah. If you actually pay attention, like Steve-O only did 2 stunts. Johnny Knoxville only did a couple of stunts. And for the most part, it was other people doing it. But
to his credit, he was shot out of a cannon again.
Again. And also, as I understand why they keep wanting to make Jackass movies, because if you look at the budget of that movie versus the box office, they made Jackass Forever for $10 million, and it made $80 million at the box office.
I'm just shocked it was actually $10 million.
Right. The first movie was $5 million, and it made $80 million in 2002.
And 2002 money, 80 million's a lot more.
A lot more. Guys, we should make a Jackass movie, is what I'm trying to say. Call in some favors. We'll get Joss Whedon to direct it.
Oh, no. I'll have no part. No
we
part
can
of
tase
that.
him.
Speaking of that.
We can tase Joss Whedon.
Now, you feel free not to answer this question if it's too out of line or out of bounds, but was there any indication back then of what kind of person he was?
I did not interact with him enough to know, but all of the interactions that I had with him, he seemed like a quiet, nerdy, introspective dude that had built this franchise. But I never saw him interact with anyone. I mean, I don't even really remember any whispers or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, he was always billed as the good guy. Mm-hmm. And really pro women characters and all this stuff, and he seemed perfectly normal.
And do you think that he would be up for being tased?
No.
No? Fine, I'll get tased.
I don't know.
I'll take a tasing for $10 million.
Well, you don't get the whole budget of the movie.
If I have to get tased, I am.
No, dude. I'll get tased.
People get tased for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm not a criminal.
No, there's you have for a time there there was like a ton of videos of like news anchors getting tased on camera to show what it's like, and it's just they go down like a sack of wet cement. I mean, it's just like
dude, I'm big enough. I think I could take a tasing. I think I'd be all right.
Dude, I've seen soldiers, I've seen cops, I've seen a lot of big, strong, burly dudes get tased, and they go down and they cry. They're crying for mama.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'll
Jacob,
poop myself, but
Jacob, if
I'll
you
be-
do take a tasing, you're gonna need to take off your insulin pump because I'm pretty sure it's gonna
Oh, yeah.
screw that up, and you don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
you
probably
don't-
get electrocuted through.
You don't
the-
want any. You don't want any electronics on your person. Yeah, that's.
We'll do this for the podcast for research.
Here's
We'll
what we're
tase
gonna
me on
do.
the Patreon.
If you get us to $100 a month on Patreon, I will
Look.
tase the shit out of Jacob once a
Look,
month.
I'm once a month.
I mean,
I'm
after
not-
a while, you'll get used to it.
Look, if we get one $50 patron, just one, Jason will tase me on the Patreon.
I'll just send you $50 right now.
since nobody took us up on the last $50 tier we did, where
I'm gonna edit it and we'll make
just
it
edit
tase
it.
Jacob,
if someone gets the $50 per month, I will tase Jacob
and
on
we'll film
camera,
it,
and we'll film
and I'll
it.
probably poop myself. I poop myself for nothing, and now it's gonna be for a tasing.
Hashtag life goals.
Yeah.
At least it's not pepper spray. Like I wouldn't get pepper sprayed for $50, but I would get tased for $50.
I never talked to you about the Angel Rap Party.
No, let's hit
Did
that
someone
up.
get tased and or pepper sprayed?
Yes. The Angel Rap Party was way cooler than the Buffy Rap Party for sure. There are all these really big venues in Los Angeles where they have big parties at, and it was this big, like basically it was a mansion. It was like this crazy big interior. It had a big open space that was like 2 stories high with all these balconies, and there was a library and a open bar and all this stuff, and a big outside area, and it was crazy. It was so much fun, and like everybody was there. So it was really super cool. And a buddy of ours that was a big fan, he ran a posting board internet early days before the internet, before social media, where Angel fans would all get together and talk. And he was part of the group that did a fundraiser every year that got people from the show to meet with fans from all over the world in Los Angeles, and they would raise money and donate it. And we were able to get him into the rap party as our guest. He was our +1. And so he was in there. So it was really cool. It was like anyone who had ever worked on the show was there. And I got to meet Ben Edlund, who was a writer, but he's also the creator of The Tick. Mm-hmm. And I got to meet him because it's always frowned upon to bug people about their stuff while we're working. But we were definitely not working. And I saw him and I'm like, here's my time. Here's my chance to talk to Ben Edlund. And I had a couple awkward moments, and it was great.
And that wasn't too long after the original Tick series with Patrick Warburton as the Tick.
Yeah,
that was such a good show.
Yeah, I think he made the jump from that to Angel, and man, there was like a dozen wacky stories. There was all these stories that went around, all these rumors about Ben Edlund and his like. How he couldn't make it to set, and how he like overslept, and they would have to go get him and bring it, and like all this, like why am I hearing about it in the makeup effects shop? Like we're not even connected, and like I'm getting these rumors in. I'm like, it's just weird. It's just a weird place. But the greatest thing about the rap party was we had this huge party, and the next day I was unemployed.
Wow.
Because the show was over. It was done, and we'd wrapped up everything. We'd done it all. And yeah, so there was a bit of not working after that. But then luckily we started getting some movies and stuff in. But
that was
that a more memorable hangover, or
I've never had a hangover.
Really?
What?
Never.
I inherited this weird thing from my dad, our side of the family, and a lot of people have it. Like chemicals don't work the same way with me. I metabolize them really fast, so I have a really high tolerance to stuff.
It's called being Irish.
Well, well, it's just, but I like I've had eye surgery where I'm awake. And
Oh, wow.
I've had dental work where there's no pain relief. It's just they're just in there drilling on my teeth. So yeah,
Oh my goodness.
there's that side of it, and then there's also like I don't get hangovers.
I think that's sociopathic behavior or something like that.
Are you almost done, Doc?
Oh, I did that. I was like, when they were in my eye, and I'm like, so are we about done? And they're like, oh God, let's give him some more stuff. And it's like,
ow,
Jesus. Yeah. You have such a long resume too. I wonder, has anyone ever had you sign something that you didn't work on?
I've had some people that tried to get me to alter magic cards that weren't my art, and then they didn't understand that I would not alter another person's card, because it's like, it's not, that's not mine. I'm not going to do it. And so, yeah, I mean, I've signed plenty of stuff that I didn't know existed. That's the weird thing, is where I didn't know work was reprinted, or I didn't know stuff was out or released. So like people are coming up with finished product that I thought hadn't been released yet or never even knew. Because there was one of my big pieces for Star Wars was Salacious Crumb with Jabba in the background. It was for a card. It's for the Salacious Crumb card, but they reused the art in the role-playing game, the book about Nal Hutta and all of the Hutts, and it's like more than half a page of art. They just reprinted it, and they printed it huge. I never knew about it. They never told me, you know, because the contracts say they don't have to. And so someone came up and had me sign the book at Gen Con, and I'm like, what's this? You know, it's kind of one of those things. And yeah, I've had work reused a lot, and it's always kind of these reuses that I'm like, oh, this is weird. I never knew I was working in this. Add it to my resume because my art's in it.
Well, we are coming up on the end of the hour, and Mr. Burdett, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you back on the show, sir.
Yeah, no worries. It's always fun.
So tell everybody again where they can find all your wares online.
The best place to go is my website, ChristopherBurdett.com. From there, there's links to my store, to my blog, to everything you need to know. And I have tons of my work on my website. And yeah, if you go to the store, you can find things like my book.
Get the book.
My books.
It's a book.
And my artwork and artist proofs from Magic the Gathering and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And for our listeners, the name of the book is The Grand Bazaar of Ethra VanDalia. And it's red. It's very red.
A little bit of voice actor work there.
Yeah.
I like that.
So do you have anything else for Mr. Burdett before we go there, Jacob?
No, just that I can't recommend his art enough. I absolutely loved the coloring book that I bought. That my girlfriend stole from me. So the next time I see you, I might have to buy something else or get another one. Definitely get his book. If you don't want his book, there's plenty of other shit that you can get of his that's just as awesome. Go check out his stuff.
Buy the book anyway and give it as a gift.
Yeah.
Give it as a gift. Buy the book. Give it to your loved ones. It's a good stocking stuffer.
And I'll put the link into our show notes here. So if you want to go get the book, coloring book, anything over there, ChristopherBurdett.com. Go check it out. Mr. Burdett, thank you again for coming on the show. And so, Jacob, you want to plug our shows before we go? We got some shows coming up. Yes,
sir. You can see me co-headlining at Jack's by the Tracks with Mr. Chris Weatherly on April 16th. You can see Jason headlining Jack's by the Tracks on April 23rd, same venue. So come back out back-to-back weeks. And April 29th, we are going to be competing in a roast battle against each other in the first round. I'm going to demolish this man. He doesn't understand.
And you know
what?
You
don't know what's coming for you.
I'm okay with that. You know why? Because I still get paid the same as you, even if you beat me.
Not if I win the whole thing. But I'm going to go full wrestling promo until that roast battle happens. You don't know what's coming for you, man. They don't call me Jake the Snake for nothing.
They don't call you that.
Yes, they do, boy. Yes, they do.
All right, well, we're going to get out of here. If you want to email us, oh, that's so loud. If you want to email us, you can email us at openmikerspodcast@gmail.com. We are at openmikers on Instagram and Twitter. And also, you can go to openmikers.com, which takes you straight to our Patreon, where as little as a couple bucks a month keeps the lights on here at the show, and we'll shout you out at the beginning of the show. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out, and we will see you next week. Awesome. That was a fun show.
Yay.
Yes, it was. Clip that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Burdett, for hanging out with us. And hopefully we get to talk to you again soon. And next time, I won't forget what time we're starting.
No worries. This is fun. This is really fun.